So my name is Aine Kavanagh and I'm studying for a bachelor's in biomedical sciences, but I'm specialising in reproductive biology. So I was just speaking to my lecturer one day, Dr. Chris Harlow, about I suppose doing some extra any extra coursework, I suppose, work that would help me, with my writing, scientific writing and stuff. And he suggested writing a Wikipedia article about high-grade serous carcinoma, which is it's kind of the most common ovarian cancer and also the most deadly, and it's quite surprising it doesn't already have its own page. And so how I approached it, I sort of treated it like a scientific essay I get assigned as coursework, but how it was different, I guess. I was good in that I already knew from coursework how to find references and where I needed to put references in, but I suppose it was sort of like a really broad essay. Normally in essays I've done, it's a really specific thing, and it'll be quite, by the end of the essay you're sort of almost exhausted all there is really to know about it, whereas doing a page on a whole disease condition, I thought I found it quite hard, just managing the scope of it, knowing kind of when I'd done it, or when it was a good basic run around of what it was. So I sort of just treated it like a big essay for coursework. I think the other thing that was different was needing to get into the head of who would be reading it, on what they would want to know, rather than just writing for a professor who was already an expert. So I suppose because it was a disease, I figured it would either be researchers or patients or people who worried about being diagnosed with it. So I kind of had bits about the mechanism, the cellular origin, but also things about treatment and prognosis and stuff. So yeah, I think that was how it was different. I think what I found surprising was how easy it was. The visual editor was really good. I thought I'd have to do a lot of HTML coding or something, but it was really easy to just put it in and do the references and stuff. And I suppose the other thing was how satisfying it was when it was done. I thought, comparing again to academic essays, you send them off, you get the grade back, you look at the feedback, and you never really read them again. Whereas I suppose knowing that people are coming back to this article and finding it useful is really gratifying, and you're just It was a really good exercise in both scientific writing and I suppose writing for a lay audience, and writing concisely, because the idea is you don't really have a word count, but it needs to be a useful page. You need to have the information readily available, and you start thinking about even the order of the subsections of the article, what would be the most useful order to have them in. So it's a really good exercise in sort of reading your work from a fresh perspective. I think it was really cool how I suppose inclusive it felt, that I really didn't have to prove to anyone I could write before I did write, and I really like that as a concept, just that anyone can contribute if they're enthusiastic. I think as an assignment, for students, it was really good in that, especially for science, it was such a creative assignment, relatively, in that you're just given a condition or disease or a technique or something, and that's the only stipulation there is. The rest is up to you in terms of the scope and what areas you want to emphasize, what areas you don't really think that are that important. You have a lot more freedom with it, I think, than you have with other writing exercises you'll come across. You've kind of contributed to public knowledge in some way, even if it's just repackaging knowledge that's already there, but you're making it accessible. And it's a really good exercise in critical thinking, and that's something that sort of the ultimate skill you learn in an undergrad degree, and I suppose looking at it, learning to look at an article and think, how could this be improved, and then finally, as a student, it's a really good opportunity, and it's a really motivating thing to be able to do, to relay the knowledge you've learnt from lectures and exams. It hasn't really been relevant outside of lectures and exams, but to see how it's relevant to the real world, and to see how you can contribute and use your knowledge to contribute And yeah, whether it's through editing in an existing or thinking, oh no, that's not quite right, I'm going to go in there and make it better, or making a whole new article. So. I think Wikipedia is really important in an era where knowledge and getting objectively true knowledge, even though Wikipedia should always not be taken maybe at face value, but as a sort of democratic, accessible way of publishing knowledge, I think it's really valuable. Yeah, and it's sort of that it's not a kind of private commercial enterprise. Yeah, it's kind of it seems like it's a rare thing, and I hope it sticks around. Yeah, I don't know, it was fun.